Could I please have the U18 female minus 70 start warming up, please? Start warming up, and we'll be fighting on mat 3.
On deck on mat number 2 is Jed Knopf and Isaac Chandler.
Now fighting on mat 3 is Fiona Fong-Lewis and Beatrix Chador. On deck is Cash Perry and Thomas Campbell. Again, who's fighting on mat 3 is Fiona Fong-Lewis and Beatrix Chador. That's who's fighting on mat 3.
U18 females minus 57, you'll be on mat 1. Please make your way over. Now fighting on mat 1, Carter Arsenault and Casey Bannerman. Carter Arsenault and Casey Bannerman. On deck, mat 1, Rowan Oakley and Angus Richardson. Rowan and Angus on deck, mat 1.
Now fighting on mat 3 is Thomas Campbell and Cash Perry. On deck is Sylvie Sheeman and Zoe Sheeman.
Now fighting on mat number 2 is Jed and Isaac. On deck on mat number 2 is Elias McLean and Mackay Reddick.
Now fighting on mat 1, Rowan Oakley and Angus Richardson. On deck, mat 1, Catherine Brown and Momo McManus. On deck, mat 1, Catherine and Momo. U18 females minus 63, you will also be on mat 1. I'm going to start calling you in soon.
Now fighting on mat 3 is Sylvie Sheeman and Zoe Sheeman. On deck for mat 3 is Libby Burham and Eloise Godin.
On deck on mat number 2 is David Petrasa and Stephen Fredericks. David Petrasa and Stephen Fredericks on deck on mat number 2.
Now fighting on mat 3 is Libby Burham and Eloise Godin. On deck is Sid Boutelier and Ariana Godin.
Now fighting mat 1, Catherine Brown and Momo McManus. Now fighting mat 1, Catherine Brown and Momo McManus. On deck, mat 1, Analia Kavanaugh and Nadia Francis. On deck, mat 1, Analia Kavanaugh and Nadia Francis.
Okay, on deck for mat 3 will be Chloe Fahey and Brooklyn Hudson. So that is the U18 females, minus 48 and 52 kgs, will be fighting on mat 3. So on deck is Chloe Fahey and Brooklyn Hudson.
Now fighting on mat number 2 is David Petrasa and Stephen Fredericks. On deck is Jacob Bogamo and Yannick Schiemann. Now fighting is Jacob Bogamo and Yannick Schiemann. On deck on mat number 2 is Nicholas Montero and Charlie Sobey.
On deck for mat number 3 is Fiona Fong Lewis and Ava Wallfield.
Jacob, you're out. deck on mat number 2 is Nicholas Montero and Charlie Sobey.
Now fighting on mat 3 is Fiona Fong-Lewis and Ava Wallfield. On deck is Julia Melanson and Judith Schibler.
Medic, now mat number 2. Mat number 2, medic.
Now fighting on mat 1, Analia Kavanaugh and Nadia Francis. On deck, mat 1, Rowan Oakley and Carter Arsenault. Now fighting mat 1, Analia Kavanaugh and Nadia Francis.
Now fighting on mat 3 is Julia Melanson and Judith Schibler. And on deck is Brooke MacArthur and Lucia Ortez.
Could the winner from mat 1 come to Giuseppe? Winner mat 1, please come to Giuseppe. Now fighting mat 1, Rowan Oakley and Carter Arsenault. Now fighting mat 1, Rowan Oakley and Carter Arsenault. On deck, mat 1, Owen Bilodeau and Jesse Bryant Hunter. On deck, mat 1, Owen Bilodeau and Jesse Bryant Hunter.
Thomas Campbell, can you lend your pants to Jacob, please?
Now fighting on mat 3 is Brooke MacArthur and Lucia Ortez. On deck is Beatrix Chador and Libby Burham.
U14s, can you go to the medal ceremony, please? The only U14s that I haven't finished yet are minus 57, 63 combined. It's not finished yet, but all the rest of them can go to the medal ceremonies.
Now fighting on mat 1, Owen Bilodeau and Jesse Bryant Hunter. Now fighting mat 1, Owen Bilodeau and Jesse Bryant Hunter. On deck, mat 1, Momo McManus and Elisa Thibodeau. Momo McManus and Elisa Thibodeau on deck, mat 1.
Now fighting on mat 3 is Beatrix Chador and Libby Burham, and on deck is Abigail Smith and Sid Boublier.
Now fighting mat 1, Momo McManus and Elisa Thibodeau. Now fighting mat 1, Momo McManus and Elisa Thibodeau. On deck, mat 1, Nadia Francis and Veronica Kusarova-Hard. On deck, Nadia Francis and Veronica Kusarova-Hard. Now fighting on mat 1, Nadia Francis and Veronica Kusarova-Hard. On deck, mat 1, Gus Richardson and Casey Bennerman. On deck, mat 1, Gus Richardson and Casey Bennerman.
On deck on mat number 2 is Nicholas Montero and Charlie Sobey. U21 can now start warming up. U21. Now fighting on mat number 2 is Nicola and Charlie. On deck on mat number 2 is Elias McLean and Mohammed Turja. Now fighting on mat number 1 is Angus and Cassie.
On deck, mat 1 will be Jesse Bryant Hunter and Kingston Alexander. On deck, mat 1, Jesse and Kingston.
I guess so. On deck for mat 3 is Brooklyn Hudson and Madeline Cheeseman. Now fighting on mat 3 is Brooklyn Hudson and Madeline Cheeseman. On deck is Eloise Godin and Ava Wallfield.
Now fighting on mat number 1 is Jesse Hunter and Kingston Alexander. On deck on mat number 1 is Catherine Brown and Alyssa Thibodeau. Now fighting on mat number 2 is Nicholas and Charlie. On deck on mat number 2 is Elias and Mohammed. now fighting on mat 1 is Alyssa Thibodeau and Catherine Brown. Alyssa and Catherine are on fighting mat 1. On deck on mat 1 is Cassie Bemerman and Rowan Oakley.
On deck for mat number 3 is Ariana Godin and Julia Melanson.
Now fighting on mat number 1 is Casey Bemerman and Rowan Oakley. On deck on mat number 1 is Veronica Hard and Annalie Kavanaugh.
On deck for mat 3 is Lucia Ortez and Abby Uglum. Okay, on double deck for mat 3 is Eloise Godin and Fiona Fong-Lewis.
U21 will be starting shortly. U21 will be starting shortly.
Now fighting on mat 1, Veronica Kusarova-Hard and Analia Kavanaugh. On deck, mat 1, Gus Richardson and Carter Arsenault. On deck, mat 1, Gus Richardson and Carter Arsenault.
Now fighting on mat 3 is Lucia Ortez and Abby Uglum. And on deck is Eloise Godin and Fiona Fong-Lewis. Now fighting on mat 3 is Eloise Godin and Fiona Fong-Lewis. On deck is Sid Boulier and Judith Schnibbler.
Now fighting on mat number 1 is Elias McLean and Mohammed Kurjev. On deck on mat number 2, is Stephen Fredericks and Braden Sancture. Stephen Fredericks and Braden Sancture is on deck.
Now fighting on mat 3 is Sid Boulier and Judith Schnibbler.